Hi everyone, welcome back to another video. So today we're going to do a little bit of coloring in Romantic Country, a fantasy coloring book. And this one is by Erie. There are 3 books in this series. This is the first tale, I believe. But I absolutely love these books. They are gorgeous books. I've not been able to color them in quite some time, but this is going to be a video showing you how you can improve your coloring skills. So if you're interested in learning how to improve your coloring skills by just making a few little changes, stick around for this video because I'm sure you'll get a lot out of it. If you enjoy this video, please do make sure you give it a thumbs up. Please also do subscribe to my channel and turn your bell notifications on. You can also find me on Patreon, and I do also have an email list, which you will find the links for down in the description box below. I also have a Facebook group where everybody shares their coloring pages. We host color-alongs, and it's a lot of fun. So if you would like to join us there, you can also find the link for that in the description box below. Let's go ahead and get into this video. We're going to use this page here for this tutorial so I can show you exactly what the difference can be if you just make a few little tweaks to your coloring or go about things just a little bit differently. This page has a lot of identical items. Like here we have a few little, what I would think would be terracotta little pots all lined up next to one another on this little shelf. Down here we have some more pots that are all very similar, and then we've got some flowers that are very close to one another. So it's going to make it very easy for me to be able to show you exactly what the differences could be if you were just to make a few little changes or do things just a little bit differently by adding or taking things away or changing up your colors or what have you. And then of course we've got all these leaves on the outside here, so I can show you like one leaf right next to the other and the difference that'll make in your coloring if you make just a few of these changes. But we are gonna start, and I'm gonna show you exactly how you could improve your coloring just by doing a few little things. The first thing I wanted to show you and demonstrate is these little pots up here. Like I said, I want to color them like a terracotta pot, but I'm going to show you exactly the differences it can make. Now, I want to show you one thing. If I just took a light color, like here I'm using Prismacolors for this video because I know a lot of you have Prismacolors, just in case you want to be able to follow along and try some of the same things. So I have Nectar. And so if I just came right over here with the Nectar and I just straight colored this, and I'm going to do the top too. So now take a look at this, and if you look at this, it is just a very basic flat coloring right now. So that is what I would call just quote unquote flat, just because it's got no dimension, no, like there's just no shadows, there's no highlights. It's basically just all what you could use as one highlight color. So there is nothing here that really just makes this pop off the page to make it look just dramatic and give it that intense color that you can really pull off when you're using Prismacolors if you just kind of do a few little things to it. So there's our flat coloring. Now I'm going to show you the difference. I'm going to do one of these ones over here. Maybe I should have done this one so that you guys could see them right up next to one another. Let me go ahead and do that. So I'm going to go ahead and color this one in. And I have my burnt ochre. Now, if I just take this one color and I combine these colors and I come in here and I just go over here to the corner and I add just a little bit more color in here, look at the difference already. So if you look at this, you can see what happened just by me adding a little bit more color to this. And look at the difference in how it changed. Now, it's not that dramatic, but you can see that there are two different colors here. You can see that there is a lighter one, what could be my highlight color, and you could see that there is a darker one that could be my midtone. So I've got those two colors. That was burnt ochre. I'm not sure if I had mentioned that. Now, if I came in and brought in an even darker color, now this is my terracotta, my Prismacolor. So if I came in here and I went right to this corner and I wanted to just make a much more dramatic change, look at the difference that this color made just by adding a third color. Do you see the difference in that? Now, if I came back and I wanted to pull that down just a little bit to intensify the color even more, I would just come back and I would pull this out just so that it kind of blended into that highlight color. Now look at the difference between what we have here and what we have over here. This one here is just really already starting to pop off the page, whereas this one is extremely flat. Now I'm going to leave this one just like this, and I'm going to come over here and I'm going to do the same thing that I did here and here. So I'm going to bring in my nectar and I'm just going to come over and I'm just going to color this and just make it very flat, just like I did the one over here. So now I'm going to come back in on this one with my burnt ochre, and I'm going to do the same thing that I did previously on these others. I probably should have done them in order, huh? Oh well. Okay, so we've got some of our burnt ochre in there. And then I am going to come back with my terracotta. And I'm going to make this one look just like this one. Okay, so I think they look similar. And I think I need to come back and just kind of pull this down like I did in the previous one. Okay, so they look similar. They have all of the same colors. Now, if I come back with something like Tuscan Red, this is a much more pigmented color. And so I'm going to come back and I'm going to show you the difference once I add this Tuscan Red to this one, the difference it's going to make from what we originally had. So we've gone from this to now this. So if I come up here and I add more shadows and darken this up, look at the difference in this. Now, do you see that dramatic difference? Now, if I were to come back with my terracotta and I were just to pull this down a little bit and kind of mix these two colors in, and then I'm going to come back with my burnt ochre and I'm going to pull them down even more. And now let me just come back with my henna and kind of just burnish these together a little bit. Now look at the difference that made. And see, I just made a few little tweaks I started here with what I would call just a very flat coloring piece. And then so I came over here, and this is only with 3 colors and not a whole lot of blending. And I didn't do the top. I probably should have done the top. But yeah, let me go ahead and do the top on this one too. Just so you guys can see like the full, what it would look like once you make these changes all over the entire pot. So let's come in here, and this is my burnt ochre, so I'm just adding in my second color. And I should have had my second color over here, so let me show you this. Because here we had 3 colors. So let's do the 3 colors here, and then I'm going to show you the difference over here again. So then we had our terracotta. Okay, so that is how that one would look. So I'm going to come back in here with my terracotta on this pot and do the exact same thing. So now they look the same. And so now I'm going to come back with my Tuscan red, and I'm going to do the same thing to the top of this little terracotta pot here. And I'm just going to make some adjustments and blend my colors together so you can see what a huge difference these few changes make when you're coloring something on your page. So let's come back with our nectar, and then we're just going to pull all these colors together. And then we could probably use a little bit more shadows here. But look at the dramatic difference. And you can see them right up one against the other and see what a huge difference. I could even come back with a shade that is even darker, and I could add even more depth and dimension to this pot here. I went and grabbed my dark umber because this is a very dark pigmented color. So if I went in here and I wanted to make sure there was a shadow here to show the separation between this part of the pot and the top part of the pot, I would just come in here and I would just add this color and create even more depth. And then I could even kind of go over these lines just to show that these areas are separated here. And it's 2 separate pieces of the pot. But look at the difference that makes. And if you just kept coming back and you added more, look at the huge difference. I mean, now it is just really popping off the page, and I can come back and I could pull those colors through just to kind of spread them out and blend them together. But look at the difference. So all I did was just change the way that I colored just a little bit. Now, if you look at this, this is just an original, just flat coloring. It has 1 color in it. And so if I come over here, which was my second one, this has 3 colors in it, and they are blended together. They are not burnished at all. They are not brought together at all, but it still has a little bit of dimension. It still has some highlights, and it's still pretty. But then if you go over here and you look at this one just really looks like it is popping off the page. It looks much more realistic. It looks like it's an actual item sitting on the page. And look at the difference from this to this to this. And that is exactly how you can improve your coloring. The next thing I'm going to show you is the difference it can make if you use more highlights. So for my highlight color in this first example, I'm going to color 2 of these leaves, and I'm going to do them one right next to the other. But I have here my spring green, and this is a really pretty bright green color. So if I just come over here and let's do this one and this one, but if I just come over here and I just straight color this spring green, and then I'm going to come back with my midtone, which is the grass green, and I'm going to add a little bit of that into this. Okay, and they're kind of blended in. So you could still see that highlight color. Now I'm going to come in with my peacock green, which is a even more intense color. And I'm going to add some of that in here. Now let me come back and pull this through like I normally would with my second midtone color, which was, what, my grass green? Yeah, my grass green. And you can still see that highlight there. And so I'm going to come back and I'm going to make that highlight even a little bit more dramatic and kind of go over the rest of the colors. And I'm just pulling them all together. And I'm going to come back and make a little bit more of a shadow with my darkest color. Okay, so there we have one leaf. Now, if I took this one and I did it right next to it and I just swapped up the colors or swapped out the colors or added in more color, I'm going to show you what the difference would be. So just by adding a brighter, more vibrant highlight color, you are going to dramatically change the way your coloring looks. So I'm going to come in here with one of my favorite colors. This is my Deco Yellow, and it's a beautiful highlight color. And I'm just going to come in here and I'm just going to lay a flat color over this entire leaf. And then I have my chartreuse, which is a beautiful green color. And I'm going to come in here and I'm going to go over that and just add in a little bit of this. Now I'm not going to get rid of all of that Deco Yellow because I really want it to stand out. I'm just trying to add just a little bit of green. Now I'm going to come back with the colors I originally used and I'm going to add in some of my spring green to this leaf just like in the other one. And it still looks pretty bright at this point. So now I'm going to come in with my midtone, which is my grass green. Now remember, these are all colors I used when I colored this leaf. I'm just bringing them over to this leaf as well, but I added in some more very bright highlight colors. So just because the colors are so much lighter, look how more intense this grass green looks. So I'm just adding some of this grass green in here. And now I'm going to come back with what was my darkest color, and this is my peacock green. So I'm going to come in here where my shadows would be. And we are just going to intensify this one a little bit more. And I'm going to come back with my spring green and I'm going to kind of pull this through just a little bit. But I don't want to go into that highlight area because I want to be able to add another layer of my highlight color and show you the difference in the two leaves. So do you see how there is just much more of a highlight in this leaf than there is in this leaf? So let me come back with my chartreuse and just add some of this gorgeous bright color over everything and kind of pull it into the center. And look at the difference already just by changing up the colors or adding more colors. All I did was add more colors to this. Now watch what happens when I come back with my Deco Yellow and I pull all of this through even more. Look how that just pops now. Look at that. Do you see the difference in the two now? Look at this leaf compared to this leaf, and you can see how this one just has that extra pop of color. And that is another way to improve your coloring skills. Now I'm going to come back just to add a little bit more because I think I have more. If I look at this one, I've got more of the peacock green over here in this one. So I want to kind of even that out and show you once you add even more of your shadow color. I mean, I could do the same thing over here too and just kind of even them out because I don't think I have enough up here in this area because it's not actually a full coloring tutorial. So I'm just trying to show you guys how to improve your coloring without just doing a full coloring tutorial because there's so many of those on my channel. But if I come in here and I just add more of this, if you have enough of a contrast in your colors, it makes a huge difference, and that's what makes everything look very 3D. If I come through here and I add more of this and I kind of go over these black lines like this, this is what makes your objects look much more 3D. And with that highlight and the difference in the colors, that makes all the difference in the world. Now, if I kept coming back at this and I just kept going and pulling these colors through, this paper in this book is beautiful, wonderful, wonderful paper. And it will take quite a few layers. It's very similar to the paper in the Joanna Basford books. I really need to go back into this book and start coloring again. It's one of my favorites, and I've not colored in it in so long. So now if I come back and I just blend this through a little bit with the chartreuse, look at this. But if you use this chartreuse and you just kind of go over the darker colors, it really helps to brighten up those darker colors so much more. And then if I come back with my Deco Yellow and I go over this one more time, look at this. And just look at that difference. So this one is now all blended out and everything. So maybe we should come over here just so you can see that there is still a difference and show you what this one would look like all blended out and the difference in the two leaves. So you can still come back and you can still make this one look very three-dimensional just by doing the same things that we did in the other one. And then come back with the darkest and add a little bit more of that. And then come back with my spring green and just go over all of it. And just burnish it all together. But this one is still a beautiful leaf, right? I think we could all agree that that is still a really beautiful leaf, just using less colors. But after comparing the two of them and looking at them side by side, you could see that this one has many more highlights in it. I mean, the colors just kind of, you look at this one and it's just kind of like pop, like it just kind of pops off the page because there is a bigger contrast in the colors. And if I wanted to keep working on this and coming back, or I could even come back and find a darker green. For some reason, all my greens are out of my set right now. I'm missing some and having trouble finding them because I've got so many different things going on. So I've got like pencils all over my desk and a lot of my greens were missing. So I was trying to go with the colors that I have, but you can come back and you can make this look much more 3D and much more, you know, give it more depth. And you can keep coming back and you could keep trying new things. But you could see the difference in both of these just because I added 2 more colors with the chartreuse and the deco yellow in this one. Now I'm going to show you one last trick to use if you don't want to concentrate so much on using highlight colors. I have a few different colors here. I don't know if I'm going to use them all, but we are going to color this vase down here, or this pot down here. And I'm going to show you exactly how to color it if you don't really want to use a highlight color, but still create a highlight. And I think I've showed you this in some of my previous videos, but those of you that have not seen those videos, I wanted to go ahead and add that to this one too, because this is a very important way that you can actually improve your coloring skill and the way that the object looks on the page. So let's go ahead and color this one here. We're going to do this pot, and I'm going to come in here first. I'm going to do it with my teals just because, I don't know, I just wanted to add some teal. But I'm going to come in here and I'm going to add my lightest color first, and I'm just kind of going in a circular motion. Now imagine that there was a highlight coming right down here on this pot. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to stay out of that area and I'm not going to color it. I'm going to let the white of the paper work to my benefit. And so anywhere that I want to highlight, I'm not going to color it. So I wouldn't imagine the highlight would be too big on this pot, but I want to show you exactly the difference that this can make. So if I came in here and I just did, there we go, and then wherever our highlight would be on this top part. So we've got, that was my, what color was that? That was my light aqua. And then I have my aquamarine. I just picked up all the aqua type colors that I had in my set. And so I'm going to come in here and I'm going to just color a little bit with this one and go over where I would assume the darker areas would be. And then of course it would be darker anywhere that we had these decorations, because we want the decorations to kind of stand out. So I'm still keeping the white, if you can see that. And I'm going to come up here to the top and I'm going to do the same thing. Oh, these pencils go down so beautifully on this paper. And then over here it would definitely be darker where these pots are right up against one another. And I do have some darker colors in my hand, so we are going to come back with those. So now I have my cobalt turquoise, and I'm just going to add a little bit more darkness here. This might be dark enough. I might not need my color that I had chosen for the darkest one. But still keep leaving that white there and don't go into that area. Okay, let's go ahead and add a little bit of the peacock green. That was my darkest color that I had chosen. So I'm just going to come in here with I'm going to pull the pencil back and forth just a little bit in these areas just to add a little bit more dimension. And then I want to create that separation there. And I'm coming back over here just to create that depth and dimension and make it look more 3D, like I did previously. Now remember, the contrast of the colors is what makes such a huge, huge difference. I'm just kind of pulling the color through here. Okay, so I'm going to come back with I think this was my second midtone, which was my aquamarine. And so I'm going to pull this through just a little bit more. Still leaving that white. You guys are going to see what a huge difference this makes just by leaving the white of the paper and letting it work for you rather than coloring over it. And you don't even have to use a highlight color. I'm going to pull this through just a little bit more. Okay, and then I'm going to come back with my lightest color again, which was my light aqua. And I'm going to go over these again. And as I get closer to the area that I left white, I am going to relieve the pressure on my hand. And then I'm going to come down here and I'm going to do the same thing. Trying to hold my hand at an angle to make sure you guys can see. And as I come across that white, again, I'm using much less pressure on the pencil and just kind of pulling it through. So this way it makes it look like a highlighted area, but it still has a little bit of that color in there. But if you don't want to use a highlight color, this is a fantastic way to make your coloring pages look all that much better. And you could do this all the way through on an entire coloring page, and it makes such a huge difference. You could even grab your Prismacolor blender, and you could kind of blend all these colors together if you wanted to, and burnish them all out. I don't want to do that because I don't know, like, I don't really like using the blender. I like using my colors instead. And if I was going to do that, I would just take my white pencil. But I want to show you guys that you don't need the white pencil and you don't need to use the blender pencil to bring it all together. You can create something without using any of those things and just the colors that you're using. I'm going to come back one more time with my darker color. This is my peacock green. And what I want to do is I just want to add more dimension in the areas where it should be darker by using my darkest color. And look at the difference this is going to make as I just lay this down. And then again right here, watch as I just come across here and I just do this. Do you see how it's creating that line of separation between the two different places of this, or pieces in the object? And then if I come over here and I go over all these and I just do this, it's going to actually create the look that this decoration on this pot is actually to the front of the pot. I'm going to come in here and just add a little bit more color. But I really want you to just see the difference it makes if you just go the extra mile and take a little bit of extra time and you do these things. Because see, if I just come down here and I go all the way down the side in a circular motion. I did sharpen my pencil before I did this, because to do this you do need a pretty sharp lead. Of course I use my Doll 133. You guys all know it's my favorite pencil sharpener. Cannot live without it. And I can even, if I wanted to come back with an even darker color, I could even come back and I can improve upon this. I could come back with my cobalt turquoise and I could kind of pull some of this through. And see how it's also just creating some texture by just pulling it through and creating those lines. But these are all things that you can do to really improve your coloring. Look how gorgeous this is. At first I was like, I'm gonna color a pot turquoise, but now like, look at this. But I could keep coming back and spend a lot of time on this and I can really improve upon it, but it looks really, really nice and I really love it. But look at the difference, and all I did was use the white of the paper. I didn't come back with any Prismacolor blender. I didn't come back with my white pencil. I didn't have to come back and burnish stuff in or anything like that. I hope y'all learned something from this video because I really enjoyed making this one. I just thought what a great idea it would be just to give some different examples on how to improve your coloring skills. And I think I really showed you in this video how you can do that. And I would love if some of you were to try this on any coloring page and come to the Facebook group and show me what you have done. Especially this trick here where I showed you to use the white of the paper. I absolutely love that one. I mean, I cannot believe how that pot turned out. Now I'm going to go back and color the rest of the pots and use the same exact technique. But these are just some techniques that you can use so that your coloring doesn't look so flat and so that it kind of like bounces off the page. I mean, look at the difference in these. We had 1, then we had 2, then we had 3. But look at the difference in this one. It's got so much depth. Of course, I could come back in here and I can make this look even better. This one here, we learned how to use more highlight colors and it just really makes it pop all that much more with the contrast of colors. And then of course, we've got our pot down here where we just use the white of the paper. This is my absolute favorite one. I love using that technique, and you don't need any extra tools to be able to create this. You don't need to come back with your white pencil and blend everything in, or your Prismacolor blender and blend everything in. It looks perfect the way it is, and you can even see some of that texture in there where I came back with the lines. If you were to come in and you were to burnish this out, it would get rid of all of those lines and it would just blend everything together so it wouldn't look the same. So I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. I hope to see you in the next one. Happy coloring. Bye.